Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the Parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the Parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the Parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV.
Agụ kube kwanya na ewu gneri. Nkachi jiri onye kọra na ọnụ na nya gala kọmeshi aga anyị ala meshi ngani nebo n'ụmụ ụmụ. Ọkwa ndị be anyị na-asị na ọnwa bụ iji eji ichi aja na ebe chefu ome. Onye riri mkpụrụ amụ ebile ji ibi ụgwọ. Ugogbuzu wachake. Ugogbuzu wachake mmiri ruchanu ozo akụfechanu adala ụwa. Ndị anyị kelee m unu ndị Igbo nọ n'Amerika nwa dị ọra mma wuchiela. Ọ bụrụ na ha asụ Igbo ị ga-ebido ugbu a maka na nwa dị ọra mma sịrị gịnị na anyị ga na-asụ asụsụ Igbo maka na gịnị Igbo amaka Igbo dị ụtọ Igbo bụ dachi ekele m unu.
Hi, welcome to the World Inkers Network, a Parrot TV show. I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. Today we have with us Melissa Chappell, who will be presenting from Remnant Day. This is her latest collection from my own special press, Transcendent Zero Press. And I hope you enjoy the program. And Melissa can tell us a little bit about herself. I'll let her represent herself rather than me today. So let's put her on the spot. Here she is. Welcome to the show, Melissa. Nice to see you again. You've been on here a few times. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your process in this book? Why the title Remnant Day? And what was the time period for you? What was it like to create this work of literature?
Well, I had a number of poems that were they consistently kept being rejected by publishers, and I kept on sending them in, and they kept on being rejected, and I couldn't understand why. And I had that set, and I really thought they were good poems, so I didn't understand that. And I had this other kind of set that I thought was subpar. They were so subpar that I didn't bother sending them in, and those were the ones that you could find lying around on the floor, and
B-sides.
I would step on them and and forget about them and this sort of thing. And anyway, I thought, I need to do something with these poems. And so the poem Remnant Day was one of those. It was one of the poems that I consider to be subpar. I never sent it in anywhere. So I collected all these poems, and I thought, well, I had that poem Remnant Day, and I thought about the title, Remnant Day, and it dawned on me that all these poems I had were remnants, and they were kind of unwanted by someone, whether it was by a publisher or by me. And I thought, why not, put them all together in a book and use the title of that poem, Remnant Day, to embody the collection of poems. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, it really does symbolize more than that, because isn't it true that all of us are made of remnants? We have remnants inside of ourselves, like things that, parts of ourselves that we've discarded, parts of ourselves that are like laying on the floor gathering dust that we don't want to look at anymore because we consider it subpar. You know, it's not perfect. We don't want to look at it, and we don't want anybody else to look at it. And we have parts of ourselves, remnants of ourselves that have been rejected, you know, by someone we love or maybe by the outside world. And so we have these parts of ourselves that are remnants. And so what I'd hoped, which I don't know whether it has come to pass or not, but if people read the book, maybe hopefully they would put that together, that there are remnants inside of ourselves. And so this could be reflected, or the book could be reflected in that, or that could be reflected in the book in Remnant Day. There it is, right there.
This is from Amazon.com. It's already available on the site. So this is the cover. Tell us a little bit about this cover. Where did this photograph come from?
Well, that photograph in and of itself is a remnant. It was something that I ran across as I was cleaning up my living room. It was hidden away in a pile of old books, and as you can see on the upper right hand corner, there's a crease in there where it was bent. Anyway, I took the photograph, and it was taken behind an old antebellum home that is not there any longer, and they had clear cut behind there, and all they had left was that tree and that shack. And I'm guilty as charged. I trespassed onto the land and took a picture of it. And
breaking the law.
And if you want to take it even further, that tree and that old house are remnants of what was left of the land. So, you know, you can even take it to that extent if you want to. So anyway, so that's what I have to say about the cover of the book. And
very interesting that the process of remnant, you know, the thought of a remnant, which as you defined it is sort of a leftover or like a piece of, you know, a kind of a toss away, or like a, you know, a bastard, really. I mean, like like something that's just kind of like, you know, an abandoned piece, or how does that relate to your theology or your thoughts on theology in the book itself?
I think that for me, it relates most powerfully to my theology of the cross. When Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And in reality, you know, in my faith, we profess the triune God. And so in reality, it's not just Jesus there on the cross, but it's God there on the cross crying out, "Why have you forsaken me? Why do I feel so forsaken?" So God is experiencing that forsakenness and that abandonment, you know, in God's self. You know, so in that way, Jesus, who is God, experienced abandonment in every way that humans can experience abandonment, which is, you know, which was a terrible thing. But isn't it a terrible thing when humans experience it? And that's the whole point of the cross, is God came to the cross in order to experience what we experience, and he experienced it to the dregs. And he experienced that abandonment, those times when we feel abandoned. And the thing about that is, if there would have been no resurrection, it would have just been a really sad story. But in the reality that there was a resurrection, that gives the whole thing hope, because we know that that abandonment is not an end in and of itself, that it opens up into the resurrection experience where Christ is raised from the dead, is raised into hope, new life, which means that me and my abandonment and everything that I get into and all my troubles and sadnesses and sorrows are not ends in and of themselves, but they too will open up into resurrection, and I'll experience resurrection, new life, not only on that day, as the Bible would say, but in the here and now. I can experience new life, new hope, because resurrection is happening even now on a level. So,
do you think that concept of you discussed, does it reflect the nature of existence, and how does that tie in with the book itself too as well?
Yeah, I think it reflects.
Alienated from God's being in a certain way, and does poetry reconcile us with that being?
Yeah, I think so. You know, a lot of it's I thought this earlier. Let me try to reclaim my thought. A lot of times people, not a lot of times, but recently I had one or two people say, you know, why don't you write about something other than lost love? And it's true that I write a lot about transience, how things change, and the pain that is involved in that. But on the other side of that is the fact that one reason that it's painful is that you have that time when you did love, and you have that love that you did feel. And I forgot the point that I was going to make. So that's kind of the flip side of that. And I think that God's being in the world, God is in that transience because God is ever changing. And I mean, you can see that all through people who say that God doesn't change. That's not true at all. God is ever changing all throughout Scripture. And God is always changing his mind about things. And what was your question?
That's a good question. What was my question? I'm just kidding. I said, is in a way, is our existence, as our human existence, an alienation from God's being, and does poetry reconcile us with that being?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it
answered the first part of the question I asked, and then the second part you were trying to remember.
Yeah, I think it does, because at least in my poetry, I consider a reaching are reaching out and beyond myself towards God. Even the poems that people get all offended about, the poems of sensuality, are poems that are reaching out towards God. And that part of God, that intimate part of God, you know, that you want to be closer. And I'll even say that those poems, more than anything, are the ones that are trying to reconcile my existence with God, probably more than any other poem, any other of my poetry. You know, because they deal more with my state of loneliness, as poems do. And so I think in those poems, I'm grasping for God, for some semblance of God to heal me in my loneliness, for God's being to heal me in my loneliness, and to reconcile that distance that I feel between us at that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, when I write poetry, I'm embracing longing. You know, a longing for something. It doesn't matter what it is. There's a gap that needs to be filled, a void that's, you know, it's being an embraced presence of some kind, and whether it's humanity, a spiritual being, you know, something deeper is wanting to drive itself out of me into my poetry, and I have to dig into the depths, and in essence, it's ascension and descending at the same time, you know, because it's kind of the same process. Once you go into yourself, you have to come back out, you know.
Right.
So what is your relationship with you have one poem in there I know for a fact that has to do with the Tuskegee experiments, I believe, and I'm curious, where did you learn about that, and how did it affect you to learn of it?
I learned about it actually when I was I learned about it through gathering source material. Actually, I wanted to validate some this poem that I wrote, and some facts surrounding some. I'm trying to remember now the poem that I wrote that I referenced in that, and it was the All That Remains. It was the All That Remains poem, because I got that information from a little history website, and I wasn't sure how valid it was. And so they had a reference. They had the Tuskegee reference there, and I well, you don't really feeling very good about something like that.
No, yeah, I agree.
You know,
American history for you.
Yeah, you don't feel very good about that, and it leaves me. When I finished that whole poem and that whole little project that I was working on to write that poem, I felt pretty I was pretty angry. I felt pretty angry
Yeah.
about
The injustice.
that's right, the injustice that had been committed against Black Southern Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and the many injustices that have been committed against them over so many generations. And I let all that just pour into that poem.
Mm-hmm.
All that remains. And that poem remains, I think, one of the most emotional in that book. And one of the very curious things, I wanted to bring this up, one of the very curious things about that poem is I presented these poems to a group called Transfiguration Fellowship, and they made an interpretation of that poem that I didn't even intend.
Mm-hmm.
Their interpretation is so much better than what I intended. And if you'll allow me, I'll just read a section
Mm-hmm.
of the poem. Like, can I just read the poem?
Go right ahead, and then we'll take a break.
Okay. Between the years of 1882 and 1968, there were 3,445 lynchings of Black Americans. It has been suggested that the number is underreported. The morning rose from its vermilion bed to find no buzzards circling in their wanton sky. Why would they, when nothing remains except the sorrowing bones of a burned tree, its pungent incense, a cry to a God who strains to grant mercy? Yet everything remains in the cruel pockets and purses of the watchers. A molar here, a dark earlobe there, all manner of the black man's body, free for the taking, strange souvenirs. In the howling moonlight, he had been joined to an old poplar. Out of all the trees in the early afternoon, he had chosen this gnarled tree to give him shade after picking cotton, sweating for a nickel-backed day. He rested against its bark, felt it burrowing into his skin. Closing his umber eyes, he saw the blue dream of the sky, his riotous vegetable garden, the flame-red cardinal blazing past. He inhaled, and the sweetness of a gardenia wafted through the air. He exhaled and felt his own deep, slow breath leaving his lungs towards the outer light, and the still silence within him sounded, "How beautiful." As the gray light rose like smoke over the tree line, the spine-ripping morning thundered in devastation after seeing all that remained. Only the old weeping poplar, its red heart turning ashen gray, lay there in the cruel charred claw of the earth, for he had been taken on the cindered wind there in God's garden.
Contemplation of a phoenix in flight. For Annette. On the wings of doves you fly. In freedom you have found an extraordinary voice. Celebration of your journey's path is freedom defined. In the stillness of tranquility, your words returned. A whisper within your heart, at first you denied. Incessant, gentle nudges you avoided, until You could no more deny those words, in those impassioned pleas, than you could stop your heart from beating, your lungs from breathing, your pen from bleeding. Every brilliant word, crafted sonnets and stanzas, awaited, welcomed, inspiration accepted. Your declaration, drafted in tears while haunted by fears, now an affirmation of strangers everywhere. Celebrate freedom earned, blessings of lessons learned. Like the lotus, your greatest gifts grew greater in the ooze of mud. You are a magnificent phoenix with plumes of every hue, the grandest of dreams now, yours to pursue. A vibrant blossom ablaze with fiery gems, your magical words. A beautiful phoenix soaring, tall, strong, proud, no doubt at all. Most magnificent of birds, most beautiful of all.
Welcome back to World Anchors Network. We have today Melissa Chappell, and we're discussing her wonderful small collection, Remnant Day. It's available on Amazon for $8 small or $8 large, depending on the size of your pocket. We'll bring Melissa back on here and read some more poetry from the book, which you just read one wonderful piece, very moving and just completely, and just leaves you in awe. So go ahead and read us a couple more of your works from this book, Remnant Day.
Okay, thank you.
We'll put you on the spot here.
I'm gonna read Maventon and Unforgetting.
Okay.
Her skirts now scattered and decayed in the dusty red roads. A pale horse trots soundly by, disappearing into the flashing dusk that remembers women on porches, bells on their dresses, mingling, jingling, change in the pockets of men, hot musk with sweat. Such a night as this, sex song and cricket song, quivering bodies tear around the track, stallions so angry they kick up stones to crack the sky, which will not give rain or prayers. All of them left when the madam died, and the horses preferred the fire-green pastures of the Lord, a random stone still hidden painfully in their hooves. A few houses stand, sashed eyes staring at the trackless field, the whinnying haunt of the sure thing gelding, still quivering at the start. A kickball bounces around in the red-boned streets. A baseball diamond sits, vines climbing its fencing, waiting for a pitcher. On cricket song nights, the heat moves in and under, laving the air with sweat and musk. Pieces ripped from a newspaper scuttle down the dusty road. No one will bother. The chalky reports will go on to scatter and decay. Beneath her skirts crowed evening lights, unforgetting.
Give us another one. Like another one of those.
Okay.
Tip for bartenders.
This is a song for an old mining village, for Holden Village in Washington State. When the copper ran out and the miners moved on, she wrapped the silence around her like a dead lover's coat. The footfall of the miners was heard no more upon her dusty roads, and the children's laughter was overgrown with alder. Gone were the sheets that once snapped upon the line in the dirty breeze. Then there were the bulldozers. Her long silence broken, they came and razed the remaining structures of her memory, leaving her with little more than some old stone steps, rising to nowhere but sky. Then there were the daffodils. Got some more words. You are the rhododendron blooming in the deepest hold of my winter. I recall how your gossamer yet graveled words fell to my lavender pillow, how they still fall down the echoing well of decades, pebbles of remembrance, parting the air as great drops of snow outside my winter window. There have been other voices in other rooms, yet yours makes fine the memory and more unfathomable the loss.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm going to let the viewers know what Rick Christensen has to say. We are left wanting more time on this island of misfit toys. That's Rick C. Christensen. That's what he says about Remnant Day. He has a review that's available at your website, I believe. Melissa, would you tell us about your website, where we can find you?
Oh, I no longer have a website.
Well, that's unfortunate. Well, maybe Rick, I think he posted it to his website. So
Yeah,
take
he's
a
got
look
his
at
website.
Rick Christensen. So what did you think of that review? What was your response to that?
I was humbled by it.
Wonderful. Yeah, we'll keep getting some more sponsorship words from other poets and writers out there on Remnant Day. If you do buy the collection, guys out there from Amazon, do leave a review, an honest review of whatever you feel the book is. If it merits your attention, then we want to hear from you. It's Transit Zero Press, and we're allied with World Inkers Network, and so we're looking forward to seeing what everyone thinks of our products and our books and our works. And I'm sure Melissa will be enthralled to hear you enjoyed the book. So if you had a book launch, we have about 7 minutes. So when you had a book launch with an interview, how did that go?
Oh, really well.
Excellent.
Really well.
What do you think the highlights were?
The interview was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Kira Summers interviewed me.
Okay.
Really well. And I'm trying to think if I had any questions from the audience. I had some questions from the audience that were good. So that was a positive experience. And the refreshments were good.
That's wonderful. It's always good to have some food. Events are nice to have food, coffee, cakes, donuts.
Yeah, it was.
They do not eat the donuts.
That's right.
You never know what kind of holes are in them.
Right.
It's good to see that this book is a small little chat book, and I think that people will appreciate it if they give it a read and a look. And I want to talk a little bit as we close out of the interview. I'm going to share one of our wonderful new projects, Writers Speak. You can write to me, Dustin Pickering, worldinkers.speak@gmail.com. It's articles, essays, poetry, fiction, and visuals on the world events, current events, anything going on in the world. It can be your neck of the woods. It can be a world event that concerns you. Just include at the top of the email your name, a short bio, and the topic you're discussing. It'd be helpful for me to know a little bit about what your poem or your essay or et cetera is about or what it concerns. It can be artwork. It can be poetry, photography, essays, articles, anything you want to say on current events. We just had International Women's Day. You can write about that. You can write about the Gaza and Israeli conflict. You can write about any number of things going on in the world today. And I'll take a look. It's going to be a selective anthology, so please do send your best work. Don't do a half-ass job. do send us something good, something that you feel confidence in, and we will definitely give it a look, and I'll send you my comments, and I look forward to reading from all you guys out there. Writers Speak, an anthology from World Inkers, Printing and Publishing, and hopefully that will come out. We don't have an undecided date on this, so I just wanted to announce that real quick, and I'm going to bring this back down off the thing here so we can continue our discussion a little bit at the end. What, Melissa, would you like to say to our viewers here at the end of the program? Would you like to have do you have any words of advice, any thoughts for our fellow writers?
Write, submit, write, submit, write, submit, write, and submit.
And in the process, there will be about 5 times that those submissions will be rejected.
Right.
And don't take it personally. It's not a personal battle. I mean, as an editor myself, sometimes it may be the bad mood. It may not fit what you're looking for at the time. There's all kinds of reasons why editors don't take works, and a lot of times we don't have the energy and the breath to say why. But don't take it personally. Just keep submitting. Someone out there will find your work interesting. There's a market for everybody out there who's really deeply involved in the arts, So I appreciate your time, Melissa. And would you like to give any shout outs, thank yous, anything of that stretch at the end of the program here?
Well, I'd like to thank you for supporting my work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to thank Bandana Kumar and Vatsala. I'm afraid I'll get her last name wrong. Radhakisun.
I think so. I think it's close.
Radhakisun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid I'm leaving out anyone.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, thanks for being
here. And all the editors who've accepted my work, and all the ones who rejected it and given me a nice rejection slip.
Taking the time out to tell you, this is a good work, but we can't take it for the time being. Maybe try again later.
Right.
Thank you. Try again. That's the machine reply. Just push a button. Thank you. Try again. Thank you. Try again. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the program today, Melissa. It was a pleasure talking with you. Pick up Remnant Day, everybody out there. Pick up a copy. $8 on Amazon. It can't break your bank. Come on, guys. Spend some money. Give us some of your cash, your hard-earned cash.
Thank you for having me, Dustin.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and keep writing and keep up the work you're doing and spectacular thinking and the presenting you do. So thank you so much. You were watching World Inkers Network. I'm Dustin Pickering, and if you want to support our programming, I invite you to donate at paypal.me/nyparrot. That's paypal.me/nyparrot. Throw some money our way. We won't waste it. We need it, and I'm sure that it's heavy on your heart to have a lot of cash. If you don't have a lot of cash, then maybe you can spare some a little bit for us. Anyway, we appreciate you, all you viewers out there. And if you want to be on the program, and help us continue this effort to support creative minds, take a look at this bottom here. Send your bio and some of your samples of your work to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. Don't forget the dot. If you do forget the dot, you will be lost in outer space. Then the email will go into the ether and it will never come back. So remember to send to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. Don't forget our anthologies. And I hope you guys out there, enjoy your afternoon and the rest of the evening, whatever time it is in your space and in your particular country. We went back an hour in the United States, I believe, or up an hour. I can't remember. It's so confusing. I have lost track of the time. So thank you all for watching. And if you guys out there want to donate or any such, just let me know. And I will be back again with another program soon. Have a nice day and get to writing.
Listen to the people. Listen to humanity.